Ayoba. Spirit of awesomeness. The recognition that you have greatness inside of you. That you have an energy, a fire, desire, all those things that are important to making you your best self. I recognized very early that I was not put here to live an average life. I was put here to do phenomenal things. The worth of a soul, all I need is within me now. When someone asks me, where did you get this Ayoba from? Where did you get what drives you, what inspires you, what pushes you to another level? It started out prior to me watching the 2010 World Cup soccer in South Africa. And there had been a little chaos and some uprising there. And they were all worried about the world converging on South Africa in terms of what could happen. And a reporter went around talking to some of the citizens, the village people, saying, are you worried about the world looking at what's going on in South Africa? And the village people said, oh no, this is probably going to be the greatest World Cup ever because we have Ayoba inside of us and the world is going to see the best of South Africa. Welcome to Ayoba. And so when I think about what it really means to unleash the best of you, all our lives, we've had all this poured into us to make us our best selves. And we have to recognize that we've been put here for a purpose. And I recognized that very early in my life, that there was something unique, not just for me, that for anybody that wanted to go after it. When I look back at my life, some people would say, I didn't grow up in the best of conditions or the odds were against me. But I would challenge that everything that I became was done for a purpose. Whether it was being a police officer for over 25 years and serving the citizens of this great community, or whether it is still wearing the uniform today of the United States military, and I always recognize the fact that in all that's going on today, with all the flaws we may have, this is the greatest country in the world, and I'm proud to defend it. So I love that part. But I also recognize that it also allowed me to have a great family, to work in corporate America, to have a business. And it was something unique, that spirit of awesomeness. And I think you have to get a little bit more detail to understand this concept, this idea, this feeling, this energy of what Ayoba is. And I think it comes down to three words: faith, family, and focus. So first, let's talk about faith. A calling, a belief. I've been put here for a purpose. That God's got me covered. That greater is he that is in me than he that's in the world. And in this life, I must feed my faith and starve my doubts. When I get up in the morning, I have to remind myself, there will never, ever be another me. I don't want to duplicate or replicate anybody else. I got to have faith to believe I've been put here for a purpose. There's a calling and a covering on my life. And my faith reminds me of that. And when I think about faith, there's a word that challenged me to study who I am, and it's called Ondra-cology. And you can just take your name and put "cology" on the back. And what it really means is the sincere study of yourself. Why was I put on this earth? What is my reason for being here? Why am I in this situation? There is a purpose and calling on my life. And if I don't study my why, I could miss this. General Jim Mattis writes in his book, Call Sign Chaos. He says this. He says, when you are responsible for leading people, they have to know you care. But you have to have the conviction to believe, the faith to believe, the confidence to know that you have a purpose in this life. He also says, when you wear the cloth of the United States military, you have to understand the biggest battle you face will not be on the battlefield. The biggest battle you face was to get the hearts and the minds of those who you are leading. Again, the biggest battle you face is not on the battlefield, it's to get the hearts and the minds of those you are leading. That also makes me recognize my Ayoba. I have something in me that allows me, because of my faith and who I am and how I'm covered, I've been called to do something bigger. Now let's talk about family. Cornel West says this: your roots determine your routes. Faith and family go together. And when I think about those two, there's a reason why that's important. Family is the key. There's this term that research says called fictive kin. And it says, who are those around you that have your back, won't let you fail, always there for you, will pick you up, won't let you go wrong, always are truth tellers. And that's critical to success in life. So when I think about family, for me growing up as a young child, my grandmother was extremely important to me. Let me tell you why that was so important to me. For her, when you're around in grandma's house, you were going to go to church. Not an option. And you're not going to go one day a week, sometimes 2 days a week, sometimes 3 days a week, and sometimes not once a day, sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes all day. And when I look back at that, I'm reminded of the fact that she was always requiring us to do this. One of the things that is expected of young adolescents going to church in my grandmother's household is you had to give these speeches. And I'm not talking about these small speeches, these long speeches that sometimes I had to help write. Now, I would have rather gotten a root canal than give these speeches. And she knew that. And my friends all gave 3 and 4 line speeches. I gave a full page. And I had to do it with excellence. And she challenged me to get it done right. And she would say, if you don't get it done right, you'll do it again. I remember being there one time, and I could hear my friends playing outside, and I'm sitting there studying this long page speech, and I asked her, Grandma, why do you make me learn these long speeches? And she said something I never forgot. She said, because one day the world will hear your voice. Ask me why that's important today. Fast forward to my freshman year in college, and I wasn't the best college student. And over the Christmas holiday break, I was thinking about, do I really want to go back to school? And I was a first-generation college student, and I was real frustrated with school at the time. And I had gotten a job in a factory, and the job was taking air conditioner bodies off of a conveyor belt and stacking them on a pallet all day long, these 20-pound air conditioner bodies, and stacking them on a pallet all day long, taking them off of a conveyor belt and sticking them on a pallet all day long. And it was a toxic work environment. Nobody really wanted to be there. And all they did was complain about the working conditions and unhappiness with wages and going on strike. So I remember going home one day and talking to my grandmother and saying, man, if this is how my life is going to be, I am not happy. And she asked me a question. She said, did you do your best in school? And I said, no, I did not. And she said, you must go back. And I said, go back? And she said, yes. She says, you're one of the first in the family to go to college, and you need to go back. And she said, I'm going to encourage you. And this is how she said it. I'm going to give you a little piece of money every now and then just to encourage you to stay in school. Now, what you have to understand is her job was ironing other people's clothes for a living. She would stand up all day and iron clothes for a living. And she only made about $25 a week of ironing clothes for a living. So I asked her this question. I said, Grandma, why do you iron clothes for a living? And she said, so you don't have to. She saw the Ayoba in me. She knew by investing in me and putting attention to me and encouraging me that I would see a future she would never see. But she knew that if I became all that I was born to be, that she would be proud of the fact that I was making a contribution to society. First faith, then family, and now focus. When we talk about focus, removing the clutter out of your mind, being pinpointed on where you're going, accomplishing your goals, going after your dreams, being relentless and zealous about what's important to you, knowing what the criteria is for you to be your best. That is what focus is. When I think about Robert Schuller, he said this. He says, you become what you think about all day. Energy follows thought. What are you willing to go after and nothing will stop you? What is critical for you to be your best self? James Allen said, as a man thinketh, so he becomes. So when I think about focus, it's knowing the discipline of the repetitions of your thinking. That's what focus is. Knowing the discipline of the repetition of your thinking. So when I look back at how focus was important to me, when I was a young police officer, I recognized the fact that I could not control my first thoughts, but I could control my second thought. I could focus on what was critical for me to do my best work. So when I look back and think about focus and why it was important, whether it's the battlefield of the mind, the battlefield of life, or the battlefield of war, focus is your secret weapon. It's what gets you to the next level. It's something that nobody can take away from you. It's critical to you being successful. It allows you to say, I'm moving everything out of the way because this is my life. Ain't nobody taking it away from me because it's critical for me to be my best self. That's what focus is, and it's critical for us to be our best self. So when I think about focus again, when I get focus down, when I get family down, when I get all of these inside of me, that's when I can be my best self. That's when I can inspire through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by vision, and produced by conviction, and ignited by purpose. That's what it allows me to do. And when I think about family focus and all what it does for me, that's what gets me to the next level. And they now have become what I call my non-negotiables. They have become my non-negotiables. Faith, family, and focus. If you think about this, there'll never be another you. You've been put here for a purpose. This is your calling. This is your time. This is the year. Don't wait till 2020 gets over with. I recognize now every day I wake up, I get to be my best self. It's not about the day, the week, or the time, because I have this Ayoba, the spirit of awesomeness that's coming out that I can access that makes me my best self. I'm living my best life right now because I know what's been poured into me, and that's what it takes to get me to the next level. I know this is the time and this is the year. I had something poured into me, and I recognize the fact that nobody can take it away. The spirit of awesomeness, the spirit of greatness lives inside of me, waiting to be unleashed every day. Keep this in mind. A candle loses nothing when it lights another candle. I hope I lit your Ayoba today. Thank you very much.